This podcast is supported by patrons. You can find a full list of them in the description of this episode. Hello, listeners of Good Morning BSS World podcast. This is Victor, doctor, and today we are going to north of Europe. This is first time ever that in the podcast I will have the guest directly coming to us from Sweden, and this guest is Fredrik Udd. Hi, Fredrik. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Thank you very much. So did I say it well that you come from Sweden?
Yeah, that's correct. So I was born and grew up in Sweden. I spent my youth there. I went to study there. I studied engineering and business, and I started to see the world around Sweden and saw Poland as a very interesting country. And I got the chance to spend a lot of my life here.
So, a lot of your life. So it means that your business life or your private life is connected with Poland?
It's both. I came here first business-wise, so but of course now I live here since the past this round it's 14 years. But yeah, I live here since some time.
So it's already 14 years.
Yeah, now it's 14 years.
Thank you very much that while being in Warsaw, you had some time to drop into my studio, and now we can have a business talk about some connections between Sweden and Poland. But before I do that, you mentioned that 14 years ago everything started with you. So what made you actually to come to Poland in those business relations?
Yeah. Actually, it was earlier than that. It was 23 years ago, so it was almost the same time of the year as now. It was in July, one of those really warm summer days. I came on a flight from Stockholm, touched down in Warsaw in 2002 in July, and I found an airport. I found myself on an airport that was a little bit worn down, not the most modern one. I took a car and drove, I think it's 160 kilometers or something like this, to Warsaw. Some of the listeners probably know the city, maybe not everybody. But so we were. I was working on an assignment for AkzoNobel, who had acquired a paint factory in Warsaw, and we were there to make it a little bit more efficient when it comes to stock keeping and cash management. And this was a little bit different time than today in Poland, and very high unemployment. It was 2 years before Poland entered the EU, and almost a little bit depressing. And most of the factories that had used to be there were closed down. So it was quite difficult times for Poland.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Warsaw is more or less like nearly 2 hours driving from Warsaw.
Yeah, those days 2.5. The roads were not the best either.
Yeah, since that time we have the highways. Yeah, they didn't exist at that time.
No.
Yeah, and there is no airport in the nearby. Yeah,
no, true.
But talking about the airports and those connections between Sweden and Poland, how long does it take by plane to go from Stockholm to Warsaw?
1 hour 40 minutes, something like that. So it's pretty nearby. It's near.
And there are quite frequent flights, if I'm not wrong, between those two countries.
Yes, there are. There are frequent. Yeah, I think lot flies 3 times a day, and there are some other airlines as well that flies. So,
we touched a little bit those business connections between Sweden and Poland. Do you think, from your perspective, that this is more Polish business being interested in doing business in Sweden, or are they the other way around, that those are the Swedish businesses who are looking warmly to Poland and building their entrepreneurships in here?
Well, I think it's both ways, is the short answer. And I think that just looking at the development of Swedish-Polish business relations, a lot of things have happened since I first came here in 2002. I was here for about 2-3 months then commuting on a weekly basis. And then I got the chance 4 years later to move to Poland for what is now Business Sweden. It was called Swedish Trade Council back then, working with Swedish companies doing business in Poland and Central Eastern Europe. And during those, so that was 2 years after Poland entered the EU. So during that time, lots of things changed, and Poland was really dynamic. And every day when I walked around in Warsaw, those times, I could see new things happening, new stores opening up, new cafes, restaurants, new buildings being built. So it was super dynamic times. And then again, I was away for 4 years. I spent 4 years in South America, heading up the Swedish Trade Council as Trade Commissioner for Sweden. And I came back to Poland in 2011, when just before Poland organized the European Championships in football, Euro 2012. And then again, Poland took like a giant leap forward, and all of the old roads and the old airports were sort of a history, and Poland took this giant development leap again, and new stadiums, of course, new airports, new train stations, new railroads, etc. So it was another big leap, and since then, I think the development has just continued. So it's totally different environment, and it's like a new planet now versus when I first came to Poland. And I think what has happened meanwhile is that business relations between our two countries has kept on developing, and I cannot really see a better time for those relations than right now. And I think it's bilateral in both directions. It's super interesting opportunities.
I find out from this what you say that besides your, let's say, business engagement in various projects, you are also connected with the initiatives which are connecting those two countries. So like with the chambers of commerce or with some initiatives which are supporting the businesses from both of the countries. Am I right?
Yeah, that's correct. So what I'm doing in my sort of daily life is that I'm running a company called Explore Markets, where we are working with companies and helping them to grow in the Nordics and Central Eastern Europe, both organically and through M&A, and also looking at supply chains, and as well as being very involved in the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, where I'm vice chairman since some time. So the Swedish-Polish relationships and business community is super important to me. It's something that I'm really passionate about.
So now let's go a little bit into details. So first, your company, is it just doing business in Poland or wider area?
We started out to do business only in Poland and mainly working with Swedish companies, but that was 13, 14 years ago. And that has developed, and now we're doing business in all of Central Eastern Europe, and we also do more business towards the Nordics. And going back to your question from before, there are more and more Polish companies who are interested in the Nordic region, and Sweden, of course, being the largest market in the Nordic region, is the natural starting point for most companies. The same thing in Central Eastern Europe, even though we work in other countries. So we cover in total 14 countries. Poland is the largest market. And that's a natural, of course, a natural sort of powerhouse of the region. So that's where we work the most still.
So it works like this, that the biggest country in the region is also having the biggest impact on those relations with Sweden.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
Okay, and the second part, the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce. This is, I found it out from the chairman of this organization, which you are also representing, that this is the second oldest bilateral chamber of commerce in Europe.
Yeah, that's true. And the chamber was actually founded in 1929, so it's a really long time ago, before World War II. And right now we're just a few years ahead of the 100-year anniversary, and some parts of the history is not that known for us. So right now we're actually researching how the chamber started, and we know most of the founding members, but we still don't know all of them. So we're trying to find out who was, and some members, some companies don't exist in the same way as before. They have been acquired, or they have merged with other companies, or they have sort of developed into different companies. So not all the founding members are still there. But it's true that the chamber is almost 100 years old, and that it's a reason, of course, that the business relations between our countries were very interesting already then. Then it was a little bit quieter a few years, but now it's really blossoming and thriving the relations between our countries and also the chamber.
Having 100th birthday just ahead, so I guess that there will be plenty of work to prepare those celebrations.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we have started already the preparations, and we have started to plan what we should do. We started to sort of gather materials and making some films and movies and writing some texts about our past and the present and the future. So certainly it's an important event to celebrate together.
You mentioned that this is probably quite, let's say, challenging or difficult exercise to come back this 100 years back to find out what were the origins, how did it start, and what so on and so on. But certainly we can do like few years step back. So the current, let's say, modern age, modern era of Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce. Let's focus on it a little bit. What are your current main goals? So what the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce wants to do, wants to achieve?
I mean, we are a non-profit member-financed organization, so we are there for our members. We're not there to develop Polish-Swedish business relations as such, but rather the business relations between Sweden and Poland for our members. So that's the ambition and the goal of our chamber. And looking a few years back, if you want, the chamber was mainly focused on Swedish company. Our seat is actually in Stockholm. We were mainly focused on Swedish companies. Most of our members were Swedish companies, and we didn't have as many members as we have today. Over the past 5 years, lots of things have changed, and one thing is that the chamber, of course, business relations between the countries are very attractive and very dynamic. So that also reflects a really strongly growing number of members. We've gone from being less than 50 members 5 years ago to being almost 300 members today. And now it's not only Swedish companies, but it's equally Swedish and Polish companies who are members of the chamber. And everything from very small companies, sole proprietorships, to like huge multinational companies. So we have many large companies as members as well. Especially when it comes to large companies, it's especially Swedish companies. Some example of companies who are members are for instance, some companies in Poland like Medicover, Stena Line, Ericsson is here, Skanska is very well developed in Poland. Bulten, BAE Systems, Saab, Epiroc, Aleima, Eolus, Metacon, and Arctic Paper. Those are some of the largest companies that are members of the chambers right now.
If I recall myself, it was like late 90s. I was also working for Ericsson, so for one of the companies who are your members currently. I found out in here that you mentioned that there are smaller and bigger players. Yeah. But if I do understand it well, they also represent various industries. So this is not like a chamber which is focused on one industry only. You mentioned Medicover, which is the medical or pharma or this kind of, the Skanska is the construction, the Ericsson is the telco. Yep. So it means that you are open for various industries.
Yeah, certainly. And I think it's a little bit same as the business environments in Sweden and in Poland. They are really diverse. So the same goes with the chamber. And Swedish companies in Poland are many of them have been here for many years, and they represent very different type of commercial activities. Same thing goes in the chamber. So it's as you say, there are all different type of companies. There are lots of manufacturing companies in different sectors. There are also lots of IT companies and service companies, and especially over the past few years, there's been a lot of interest from Polish companies within IT and service sectors.
And the main city is in Stockholm.
Yeah.
But your members are from all around Sweden.
Yeah. So I would say now there's around 50% of the members from Sweden, from all over the country. And 50% of the members are Polish companies, more or less.
Wow, that's a great split.
Yeah.
It's like half-half.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and it grew from 50 to 300.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a very significant growth within the very, very short time. So it means that the members see the value of being in the chamber. What kind of activities do you do for the members?
Well, we do. I think one main strength that we have is the network, which is very strong, so that we help connect people with each other. And apart from that, I would say that the type of activities we do are twofold. One is, or you could say threefold. One is providing information and consultancies and sort of helping companies to navigate. And also through our member companies, we have quite a lot of advisory companies who are members who can help out with different tasks. Then secondly, we organize a lot of events which are very, very highly valued, and So we have, I can mention a few going forward, but we have a quite vast sort of event calendar that can be found on our webpage. And thirdly, we have a lot of communication. We have a couple of newsletters that we send out, not only to members but also wider. And we have a bulletin, and we communicate quite a lot on LinkedIn as well. So we have a lot of communication as well. So those are the main activities that we do.
The communication is in English.
Yes, everything is in English except one of the newsletters, which is in Swedish. We've had it for many years, and it's very valued among Swedish companies. And it's sort of a notice board of events or like news that are happening in Poland. So it's that more classic newsletter of news clipping, what happens in Poland, in the economy, in the political environment, in the business world, and sort of 10-12 pages that's being sent out every month to members, and that's a really good newsletter actually.
10-12 pages. That's quite a big newsletter. Usually I'm used actually to newsletters who have like 2 pages, maybe that's maximum. Yeah, so you go quite deeper into details.
Yeah, it's a good newsletter. So it's in Swedish. So yeah.
I need to learn Swedish one day. Coming back to your events, are those rather online events or on-site events?
Most of them are hybrid events. They're always on-site, but normally with a possibility to participate in seminars online. We have a couple of different events that are only physical events. We have now in September one example. It's a business matchmaking event that we have in the southern part of Sweden, in Karlskrona, where you end up if you take Stena Line ferry from Gdynia to Sweden. You end up in Karlskrona. And this is actually, it's a quite interesting event, which I can recommend as well. And it focuses on 4 different sectors, to be a little bit more specific when it comes to matchmaking, and it's tech and ICT. So IT and tech. And then the second one is manufacturing industry. Then we have sustainable construction and lumber is the third sector. And the fourth sector is marine technology, since it's just at the Baltic Sea that makes sense. And this is organized by our chamber together with PAIH, the Polish Investment and Trade Agency, and 4 regions in the southern part of Sweden. And it takes place on September 29-30. And still possible to sign up, I think, although it's really popular, and it might be that we need to limit we need to limit the number of participants, but it might also be that we need to select those that can finally attend the event.
We will make sure, of course, to add the proper links to the description of this podcast, so for those who will be able to get still in time, because we are recording it in the middle of the summertime, which is like the mid of July 2025. So till September, this is not so far away.
It's not so far away. Then we have a few 1.5 weeks later. We have another opportunity, but that's going to be in Warsaw, where we have one annual sort of networking event in Warsaw. So it's going to happen on October 7th. We can put that also in the show notes so that people can sign up for that.
Absolutely, yeah. So we will make sure to add this and just to make it easier to get to those events. Yeah. What I wanted to get to know more, when it comes to the sizes of the businesses, the majority of your members, are those really big companies or rather the middle-sized?
I think it's the entire spectrum. So we have a number of really large companies, and then we have, I would say, most of the companies are probably mid-sized as SMEs, but we have maybe 20% of our members are large multinationals, so the large companies, and then we have a few quite small companies as well who are members.
Does it mean that the characteristics of the Swedish business market is that this is like the market for the middle-sized businesses, like in Germany, for example? Germany is mostly the middle-sized businesses, yeah?
Yeah, it's not really the same thing. It's I would say that in Sweden we have a large number of quite successful big companies, and I think that many of them are very well known to most people internationally. So we have all those large companies that have grown internationally for many, many years that are quite old, most of them. Then, of course, we have a few successful tech companies like the Spotify, Klarna, Mojang with Minecraft, and so there are a few really successful tech companies as well. Then we have a large number of startups, so the startup community is thriving in Sweden for sure. We have less of medium-sized companies. We have lots of medium-sized companies, but I would say that they're probably less than comparatively rather than Germany.
Sure. I know that Sweden is very famous with the startups and with the tech companies. They are really big brands which are successful globally. You mentioned that within your member companies at bottom, so your business is a consultancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's assume I am a Polish business and I want to do some business with Sweden. What should I be aware of?
I mean,
some free tips.
Yeah, I mean, if you're when you're starting to look at the market, I think the first thing that you should do is to do your homework, to take a look at the market, see what the market looks like, what type of customers are there, what do they want to buy, what are they looking to buy, what competitors are active on the market, how are they doing business on the market, what's their footprint. What are price points, etc. So whatever, all of these sort of getting to know the market type of things. I think that's super important. So that's the first thing. Then I think a second thing that many companies don't really think about is to make sure that your offer is matching the needs of the market. So adapt the offer to the market. Some companies they sort of have the one size fits all, which I think is a mistake on many markets, and definitely both in Poland, I think, and in Sweden, that you need to listen and feel what the market is like, so and adapt your offer a little bit. And when it comes to the Swedish market, one really important factor is ESG, to make sure that you communicate that you're ESG compliant, and that you think about sustainability and all of those things that are important. And most of the time there are like boxes that Swedish companies tick when they buy products. So if you're not a sustainable company, if you don't have an ESG policy or things like that, then you might not be considered as a supplier. So think about those things when you go to the market with your offer. Then also I think it's important to be present locally. So either, of course, if you want to set up your business locally in Sweden, that's strong, or have some local partnerships to appear as a professional, long-term, solid supplier for your customers. And don't underestimate the language. Most Swedes speak English, but a lot of business contacts are made in Swedish still, anyways. And many times, if you're contacting a company, if you're sending emails in English, you might not get the response, especially if you're not sure who you're going to send it to. So don't underestimate the local language.
I think this is quite similar to us in Poland. Most of us do speak English, but there are some even big brands where actually English not so common and the business is run in Polish.
Yeah, I mean, there are some of these cultural nuances, and I think that this is one thing, the language that, and I think in Poland it's maybe even more contrasts, not only language but also between the city and the countryside, between different generations, and between people who are studied and people who have not studied, and between companies who are super modern and companies who are less modern. So I think the contrasts are much bigger in Poland. And sometimes when people ask me if Poles speak English, I say yes and no, because some people speak English much better than most people in Sweden, for instance. But then you can come out to some smaller places, some village in the countryside, and very few people might speak English there.
Okay, Fredrik, I must say that probably there are plenty of other things which people need to be aware when starting doing business with Sweden. And there are a lot of nuances, including those cultural ones. Thank you very much for actually sharing this ESG element, this environmental one, because I think this is well known globally that Nordic countries are on the top of the countries who are putting a lot of attention to this ecological, let's say, part of running business or being responsible for our environment. The other thing which which I heard is that Swedish companies, but also the Nordic companies, are putting a lot of attention into the care about employees. Yeah, this is what we have such perception in Poland, that this work-life balance, that this treating of personal life, that being okay in relations employer-employee are really, really on high standards. Is that right?
Yeah, it's totally correct. I think that's also one cultural difference, that Swedes are thinking a lot about the work-life balance, and when you're taking an employment, then you certainly consider different factors and why an employer is attractive, and employee attractiveness or employer attractiveness. That's something that's super important. And I know also in Poland that many of my friends and people I speak to, they are who are working for Scandinavian companies, they are very content being employees as a Scandinavian at the Swedish company, because they feel that Swedish companies, they pay attention to employees a lot.
You already gave me a couple of hits and tips within our talk. I don't know if you know, but we already are talking over half an hour. So the time is flying really fast. So I guess this is not our last meeting. And actually, this is something what I want to tell you, our listeners and viewers, that this is the very, very beginning of a partnership between Poland and Sweden, between ProProgressio, the organization which I am representing, and Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce from Sweden. So you can expect more of such talks, and probably we will go into more details of those business relations. But if at the very end of our talk you were to, from your subjective point of view, give just one tip, what it's good to know about Sweden, about doing business in Sweden, what would it be?
I would say that the thing that I normally advise people at the end is to, if I want to give something to people, is to just tell them to take the risk, do something, take one step forward. If you haven't thought about the market, do something and put it into your plan. So whether that means to do a small market analysis, to visit the market, to travel to Stockholm or Gothenburg, or go and visit the trade fair or something like this, or look for potential partners in the country. So just take one step forward. And I think one thing that Polish companies are a little bit reluctant to sometimes is to take the risk and invest a little bit of money as well, because you need to invest both time and money to make things happen. And if you don't do that, things are not going to happen, most likely. But so just take one step forward to make things happen this year and beyond.
I have a feeling that both you and your business, but also the Swedish-Polish Chamber of Commerce, are the institutions who might be helpful in building those bridges between Poland and Sweden. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you or with the chamber, where would you direct such person?
Yeah, we have our web pages. Our company can be found on exploremarkets.eu. And the Swedish-Polish Chamber can be found on svenskpolska.se. There you have both the Swedish and the English and the Polish version of that web page. We'll put the link in the show notes to make sure that people can find it. And then, of course, you feel free to. We can also put probably my email address and LinkedIn in the show notes, and people are free to. I'm happy to talk to people more about the market.
So this is the action on me. So I will put the proper links in the description of today's talk. Thank you very much, Fredrik, for this opportunity of having you in Warsaw, and this talk, the first talk which we had on the Good Morning BSS World podcast, which was today focused on Swedish-Polish business relations. And that's not the last talk. You can expect much more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.